Oh, and state tartan. Is anyone wearing a state tartan today? By the way, besides myself? You can get these from the clerk at the State House of Representatives. She hand makes these. Really nice to have. I wouldn't wear a kilt of this color, but it makes a nice tie. So why do I even care about this? Well, I'm the state historian. And sometimes even I have a hard time figuring out what that means. It's kind of a broadly defined term. It does not mean that I get to pronounce the state symbols. Our official symbols are usually proposed by Colorado school children, and they're adopted through legislation or by executive proclamation. And it may seem sort of a frivolous topic to talk to you about the state symbology, but actually the consideration of such symbolism is not without controversy in our history. And I'm here today to argue about why I think it's important that states have their symbols and embrace their symbols. I actually wrote an essay on this, an article on this back in 2008, and it was sort of a reaction to a controversy that was taking place in the state legislature in 2007, in which the legislature was considering adopting the Western, there we go. This way. Okay. The Western painted turtle as our official state reptile, which it is. This was something that was adopted by Colorado school children in 2007. Jay Batchy's 4th grade class began the process of getting the Western painted turtle designated as the Colorado state reptile. They completed the legal steps, and Governor Bill Ritter signed House Bill 8-1017 on March 18, 2008. The classes involved researched many Colorado reptiles, and they decided that the Western painted turtle was the most representative of Colorado reptiles. Our own representatives, and I do not mean to besmirch them by the comparison, took this up, but there was some grumbling. And in fact, Colorado Springs legislator Douglas Bruce at the time criticized the whole affair as what he called official stupidity. And I'm here to make the case for our state symbols today. I think it's very important that we have state symbols for any number of reasons, not the least of which because they are our official ambassadors to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. And they are an essential part of school children around the country who are getting to know what Colorado is and what it stands for. And that's not insignificant for us at History Colorado right now. As we go through the process of reinventing ourselves in preparation to moving into a new state history museum, we'll move in this year and open the museum to the public next year. History Colorado is making its own efforts to reach out to classrooms in every corner of the state. And so in this sense, these symbols are important to us. This turtle here is important to us because it is our ambassador to getting school children to know what our state is about and what we stand for in many ways. But having state symbols has been controversial over time in Colorado. There we go. I got the most, since this is 4th of July week, I got the most patriotic example of our state fossil that I could find. These are statues of the Stegosaurus at Dinosaur Ridge in West Denver. 150 million years ago, the Stegosaurus roamed the earth. And it took some time, consequently, before Ruth Sotto's 4th grade class at Thornton's McElwain Elementary School set out to give this herbivore its due. The students had learned how high school students from Canyon City, Colorado, had discovered the world's first complete Stegosaurus skeleton in 1937. And this discovery helped confirm Colorado's reputation as a treasure house for fossils. So armed with these facts, and aided by then State Senator Polly Baca-Berrigan, whose child attended McElwain, the grade schoolers championed a bill calling for the designation of the Stegosaurus as Colorado's first official state fossil. They took it to the House of Representatives in 1981, where the bill promptly died, in part because the legislature at the time decided to only consider what they called matters of substance. Unrebuffed, however, the students launched their own, I would argue, sophisticated educational campaign, their lobbying campaign. They recruited a mascot, they distributed t-shirts, and they invited legislators to an informational luncheon at their school cafeteria. Commerce City Representative Bob Martinez eventually quipped, well, you know, I've been wined and dined before by lobbyists, but I've never been milked a cookie. Despite these efforts, the Stegosaurus bill failed in the following session. But impressed by the seriousness of these fourth graders' efforts, Governor Richard Lamb declared Steggy, as he called it, Colorado's official state fossil, by executive proclamation on April 28, 1982. These were dedicated lobbyists, these fourth graders, going through the system, learning, being rebuffed, but undaunted, and coming back again, taking their political lumps, but ultimately finding a way to victory. Governor Lamb, incidentally, said at the time that he welcomed the legislature to overturn him, and thus far they haven't. As Judge Bonning mentioned to me beforehand, that was one of the few things that the legislature didn't overturn him on, but many others were there. Now, Governor Lamb actually supported this bill as an important lesson in the democratic process. He later said that it was one of his best memories of being governor. Others at the time questioned the worth of this purely symbolic gesture. House Speaker Carl Beverly Bledsoe asked, if you start passing bills like this, where are you going to stop? You could end up with a state coin, or a state this, or a state that. And boy, was he right. The recent adoption of the Western Painted Turtle, and also as skiing and snowboarding as our official winter sports, brings to 20 the number of official symbols and emblems that Colorado boasts. That's a dramatic increase from the 1970s when school children memorized just 9. As the state's first new symbols in 11 years, the Stegosaurus joined the Rocky Mountain Columbine, our sea flag, the blue spruce, the bighorn sheep, the aquamarine, the lark bunting, the greenback cutthroat trout, and the state song where the columbines grow. Since 1982, we've added not only the trout, but the hair streak butterfly, blue grama grass as our official grass, the mineral rhodochrosite, Colorado Yule marble, John Denver's song Rocky Mountain High, among others. So it gets to the question, what good are these official symbols and emblems? In the abstract, they associate our state with representative features and desirable traits. Symbols usually emphasize something unique, or at least characteristic about a particular state. The United States and every individual state have at least an official flag, motto, tree, and flower. But compared to other states, we really don't hold a candle. Colorado can't gaze at a registered state star like the Delaware Diamond. We can't drink an official state drink like Rhode Island's coffee milk. Are there any coffee milk fans here? I sort of made fun of that in the office one day and found out that we have a Rhode Islander who actually brings coffee milk to work to drink every day. So I got a little bit of a comeuppance. We don't ask the state question to match New Mexico's official state question, red or green. Get that? It's a reference to Chile. We don't venerate an official hero like Connecticut venerates Nathan Hale. Massachusetts is probably the winner of this state symbology. They have a state bean, berry, muffin, marine animal, dog, cat, horse, cookie, dessert, poem, ode, polka, and official state soil, and 30 other official state symbols. You just can't keep up. And we have a state fish, which is a great state fish, the greenback cutthroat trout, and it's even a refugee from the endangered species list, so kind of a happy ending. But our fish is nowhere near as fun to say as Hawaii's Humu Hubunu Kuawa Kupawa. I practiced that all night. Okay, so here's arguably Colorado's first state symbol, Pikes Peak. This promontory served as both a fixed geographical point and an imaginative anchor for the hopes and dreams of the gold seekers who flooded the Rocky Mountains after 1858. The stylized version of our peak circulated on our official currency in 1850, unofficial currency circulated in 1859 and 1860, and it equated our region with riches from the very start. Our official state symbol followed, our official state seal followed not far behind, which included our motto, Nil sine numine, which was a Latin phrase coined by Territorial Governor William Gilpin. It means loosely nothing without providence. But again, this was a very controversial symbol, our state motto.